Thank you. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, students. Happy to see you all on a continuous holiday. So this has been a continuous holiday season, and I've seen a lot of people taking off. So I was expecting very less students today, but I'm really happy to see that the number is not reduced so badly. It is good enough compared to other classes. That's a good signature, good indication that in spite of those holidays, you are not getting distracted and you are definitely devoted to it. So I'm really happy to see the students joining in now. Great. So you don't want to miss on the important topic of ITC. Very nice. So for the students who have missed out today's class, they will have to watch the recording, but they will miss the question and answer sessions, which you have the opportunity to ask during the class. So I'm good that you are dedicated and you have been a part of this class. Good. So it really gives inspiration that even on a holiday, I was expecting that students will be less and how will I take this? But I'm able to see that students are really, really enthusiastic and really happy to see that. So from our previous classes, you were all able to understand the ITC, the basic section 16 we understood in one session, then section 16, section 17, the block credit. And then we started the basics of section 18, right? Section 16 is giving the conditions to claim the credit. Section 17 is saying that on what credit, on what ITC, you will not get the credit. And then we know the ITC majorly. Now, 18 is like a residuary part. It says that in certain circumstances, you can claim the credit or you will have to reverse the credit when there is a change in position. So, whenever there is a change in position, what you have to do, that is what section 18 is saying. Okay. So, we will now continue section 18 and we will move forward. Okay. So 18, we know the introduction, right? We have already seen the introductory part. So we will just brush through that introductory part again. We have also seen the GST portal. So a lot of students appreciated that, yes, we were able to have a practical view of the portal as well. So, credit in special circumstances, that is what is section 18 talking all about. And 18 says, wow, this is a new slide. So last session, I realized that the picture, what was reflected, that was not clear. So I remade the image so that you should have clarity. If there is a clarity, then you are in a better position to analyze things, right? That's why I have a better picture now. So we were discussing on section 18 has four subsections: 18.1a, 18.1b, 18.1c, and 18.1d. Four subsections. So in these subsections, what it says is you are eligible to claim the credit in special circumstances. Now, what are those special circumstances? That is when the ITC on opening stock of inputs at the time of new registration. Now, you have taken a new registration and you have to pay GST, correct? Once you take a registration, you have to pay GST. So, the government is saying that as soon as you register, you pay the GST. So, the taxpayer had a grievance saying that we will pay GST, but what about the past transactions wherein we did not pay GST and our ITC is also lost because we did purchases and we sold it. So government said when you sold, you did not pay GST. So now don't come and ask us that what happens to the ITC because you got that benefit of not paying GST. So the purchases के ऊपर जो भी GST था उसके ऊपर भी आप credit मत मांगिए. Okay, fine, understood. Next, they said that okay, for that past transaction which the sale is concluded, we will not ask any refund or we will not question the government that you have not given the credit because it's fair. Let's be fair कि मुझे इनपुट पे क्रेडिट नहीं मिला और मैंने आउटपुट पे टैक्स पे नहीं किया. Understood. Now अभी once I'm registering, then I will start paying the tax. So what happens to the stock? On the stock, you give me the credit. That's when this 18.1a came in, that when you're newly registering, then whatever is your stock, on that we will give you the credit. So that is where 18.1a comes in. So 18.1a क्या बोलता है कि आपने अभी रजिस्ट्रेशन लिया है, आपको जीएसटी पे करना है, तो आपको अगर अभी के स्टॉक के ऊपर भी जीएसटी पे करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि आपका रजिस्ट्रेशन लिमिट टच होने पे आपका पुराना स्टॉक आप फ्री में बेच सकते हैं विदाउट जीएसटी, ऐसा नहीं होगा। आपको पुराना स्टॉक भी जो आप सेल करोगे उसके ऊपर भी आपको जीएसटी पे करना पड़ेगा। तो तो डीलर क्या बोलेगा या टैक्स पेयर क्या बोलेगा, ठीक है मेरे जो स्टॉक है उसको ही मैं बेचूंगा, तो उसके ऊपर जो क्रेडिट है वो तो मुझे दीजिए। तो इसीलिए 18(1)(a फ्रेम किया गया है। और 18(1)(a को हम जूम कर लेते हैं थोड़ा। यस, 18(1)(a बोलता है कि आईटीसी ऑन ओपनिंग स्टॉक ऑफ इनपुट्स एट द टाइम ऑफ न्यू रजिस्ट्रेशन, अ पर्सन हु हैज अप्लाइड फॉर रजिस्ट्रेशन विद इन 30 days। मतलब आपको रजिस्ट्रेशन के लिए टाइम दिया गया है 30 दिन। अगर आपने 30 दिन के अंदर अप्लाई किया है तो फिर आपको रजिस्ट्रेशन मिल जाएगा। एंड अगर आपको आपने टाइम पे रजिस्ट्रेशन अप्लाई किया है तो आपको फॉलोइंग स्टॉक के ऊपर क्रेडिट का एंटाइटलमेंट मिल जाएगा। व्हाट आर दो स्टॉक्स? इनपुट्स विच इज हेल्ड इन स्टॉक, inputs contained in semi-finished goods, and the finished goods held in stock. So on these three things only you will get the credit. Now, what is the fourth thing which is missing here, which we had discussed in the last session? Yeah. Do you remember in the last session we had discussed that only these three things you'll get the credit? What are the two things? I would say not only one thing, there are two things which are missing that we will not get the credit. We will get the credit on your stock, which is there as a raw material itself, or if it is there in work in progress, which is called as inputs contained in semi-finished goods, and the finished goods held in stock. On this three, you will get the credit. Which date stock, that I will come in a minute, but you tell me two things are missing in this for which we will not get the credit. First, Tanu Vishwakarma is saying that, sir, capital goods. Yes, that is one. On capital goods, we will not get the credit. Yes, correct, Shamli Sharma. Anubhav Malik is given the second answer, that input services, like stock, which is there on the date of the registration, on that I will get the credit. But the input services, which I have taken, but which is not completely utilized, which I will utilize now, on that we will not get the credit. So on capital goods and input services, we do not get the credit. And there's a condition that for this, very nice, Tanu Vishwakarma, I'm happy that you are engrossed in this subject very well. So the other condition is that these inputs and the inputs which are there in semi-finished goods and which are there in the finished goods, this should be towards those purchases which are not older than 1 year due date, 1 year from the date of the registration date. So it can't be very old stock also. Okay, so these are the conditions. Now these stocks should be as on what date? The date immediately preceding the date from which he becomes liable for registration. So we had taken some numbers also and explained this, that he will not get credit of those things on the date when the registration is granted, because he has been very vigilant. ये time पे उसने apply कर दिया है, that the person has applied for registration within 30 days. So he will get the credit of the stock which is immediately preceding the date when he becomes liable for registration. बिकॉज वो रजिस्ट्रेशन अप्लाई 30 दिन के अंदर कर सकता है, तब तक स्टॉक और कम हो जाएगा या बढ़ भी जाएगा। सो देव केप्ट वन डेट दैट व्हेन ही बिकेम लायबल फॉर रजिस्ट्रेशन, उसके एक दिन पहले का जो स्टॉक है ऑन दैट ही विल गेट द क्रेडिट। व्हेन ही बिकेम लायबल फॉर रजिस्ट्रेशन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, बिकॉज when he became liable for registration and the date of registration, there'll be a gap. Okay, so I was liable for registration on the 1st of October, but I have applied within 30 days, say on the 15th of October. So which day's stock I have to consider? One day prior to the date when I was liable for registration. I was liable for registration on 1st October, तो 30th September का जो स्टॉक है उसके ऊपर मुझे क्रेडिट मिल जाएगा, राइट? So that is very important in this. If you apply for timely, then you'll get it. If you don't apply on a timely basis, then the stock which is held on the date when you get the registration, that day's stock का credit you will get. Okay, so that was 18.1a. Now moving to 18.1b. What does 18.1b says? 18.1b says what is the ITC which we can claim on opening stock of inputs in case of voluntary registration. 18.1a was in case of a compulsory registration where you have to apply for a registration once you cross the threshold limit of 20 lakhs or 40 lakhs. Now, 18.1b is giving you a situation where you have not touched the threshold limit. Okay, and you are applying voluntarily, that your turnover is below 20 lakhs and you're applying voluntarily, that is also permitted. तो अगर आप voluntary registration लेते हो तब आपको किस स्टॉक का क्रेडिट मिलेगा? सेम स्टॉक का क्रेडिट मिलेगा, inputs held in stock, inputs contained in semi finished goods and the finished goods held in stock, इन तीनों का ही मिलेगा, similar like 18.1k. Okay, he is entitled to take credit of input in respect of RO is means that in respect of inputs held in stock, input contained in semi-finished goods and input finished goods held in stock, which is held immediately preceding the date of registration. That is the distinction here. That is, in the first case, it was day when you are liable for registration, but in this case, it is not the date when you are liable for registration. It is immediately preceding the date of registration itself. Okay, the stock which is held on the day immediate, जो आपको अपने registration time पे भी apply कर दिया, you have applied say within 30 days itself. Okay, but you will get the registration on verification and other things by the officer, आपको 40 days में मिलता है. तो 40 days के पहले का दिन मतलब 39th डे पे जो स्टॉक रहेगा उसके ऊपर आपको क्रेडिट मिलेगा. Why? Because it's a voluntary registration and the officer has to verify whether you will do the things properly or no. Then he has to give you the registration. That is the reason in this case, the registration के एक दिन पहले का जो stock है, on that you will get the credit. Similar like 18.1a, but here only the date will be different. Clear? So that is 18.1a and 18.1b. Third is 18.1c, which says that what happens to the ITC on opening stock of inputs or capital goods if the taxable person switches from composition scheme. So, what happens in case of a person who is registered under composition scheme? Now, composition scheme, we know that you cannot claim any input tax credit, you cannot charge any GST. Now, you were there under composition scheme. Now, you are saying, okay, I want to move from composition scheme to regular scheme, either voluntarily or because your threshold limit has crossed. What is the threshold limit for composition scheme? Right, 1.5 crore. Because you are talking of goods, you have also understood that 75 lakhs, Navneet, it is for services. Here we are talking about goods only. So it will be 1.5 crores. Right. So 1.5, not 2.5 crore and above, it is 1.5 crores. And 75 lakh for services. So this, anyways, on services, we know that we don't get the credit. So this, we are not talking about services. We're talking only about goods. सो 1.5 crores either he is crossed the limit, उसका sales इतना बढ़ गया है that he's crossed the 1.5 crores limit in this year, so he will have to compulsorily move from composition scheme to regular scheme. Or his second option is his turnover is not crossed, but he wants to move out, saying that composition scheme is not beneficial. He wants to move out to regular scheme. So in that case, what will happen? Same, when I was in composition, sir, I did not have any benefit to take the credit. Fine, I will not take the credit because that was the scheme, that was a condition. Now, when I'm moving from composition scheme to regular scheme, you will tell me to pay GST. Now, what will happen to the stock? So that's where this 181C came in, saying that a registered taxable person who ceases to pay tax under Section 10. Section 10 is the scheme for composition scheme. When a person ceases to pay tax under Section 10, he shall be entitled to take the credit of input tax in respect of inputs which is held in stock, inputs which is contained in semi-finished goods, which is again held in stock, and finished goods, which is held in stock. And very important, he will get the credit on capital goods also. In other cases, it was only raw materials, semi-finished goods, inputs which is contained semi-finished goods, and capital goods. So, but in this case, it is also on capital goods, he will get the credit, right? So here, additional credit, what he gets is credit on capital goods. These should be held as on what date? This should be held on the date immediately preceding the date when which he becomes liable to pay tax under Section 9. So here there are no limits that you should apply within time, out of time. Those things are not there. When you're moving from composition scheme to regular scheme, immediately preceding the date which he becomes liable to pay tax under Section 9. That is from Section 10, you're moving to Section 9. From the date when you are opting out of 10 and coming to 9, उस दिन से उस दिन का जो भी stock है, on that you will get the credit. Okay, so 18(1)(c), you will get the credit on those stock which you were under composition scheme. Now you're moving to regular scheme. जो भी stock पड़ा है, that is the closing of the composition scheme के end में जो stock पड़ा है, उसका credit आप ले सकते हैं. Okay, now moving forward to 18(1)(b). So 18(1)(a) we understood, 18(1)(b) we understood, 18(1)(c) also we understood. Now we're moving to 18(1)(d). Before that, there are some questions. Sir, he will tax for entire amount of turnover. His entire turnover will be liable to tax or some proportion. You're saying in case of a composition scheme to regular scheme, or which scheme are you talking? So when a person is under composition scheme, his entire turnover, he will be liable to tax, but he will not collect from his customers. But when he moves from composition to regular scheme, whatever turnover he does now, on the entire turnover, he will have to collect the GST and pay GST to the government. Clear, Kuldeep? Composition scheme during the year. Okay, so if a person is moving from composition scheme to regular scheme, then whatever period he was under composition scheme, on that he will pay at the composition rate. And once he moves from composition to regular, old period, he will not pay tax again. From that day when he switches from composition to regular, on that day onwards, he will pay the full tax and not proportionate tax. So he will pay the full tax itself. Okay. Now 18(1)(d). What does 18(1)(d) say is that tax on a exempt supply becoming taxable. So earlier I was under the exemption. Okay. Now my goods have become taxable. Might not be as a voluntary thing. It might be in case of a government condition that while I was supplying some goods, then it was under exemption. Now the government has changed the rate because time to time government changes the rate, right? So they have changed the rate and told that on the products which I'm selling, there will be GST applicable. So they have made the goods which I was dealing in from exemption to taxable goods. So in that case, same question, while I was exempted, you didn't give me the credit, but now when I'm taxable, give me the credit. Tanu Vishwakarma's question is, in case of composition to regular, date of registration is important or date of liable to pay tax is important. As we can see the provision here, Tanu, in case of composition scheme, it says immediately preceding the day when he becomes liable to pay. So when he becomes liable to pay is important and not the date of registration. Okay, the date of registration, because here there is only shifting of registration. So there's no date of registration as such. He will get a new same GST number he will use, and that will mention that instead of composition, it is got getting changed to regular scheme. So when he becomes liable to pay tax is relevant in this case when there is a shift, when there is a change from composition to regular scheme. So there it is, becomes liable to pay tax, which is relevant. Okay. So clear, no, Tanu, you've got your answer. Next is, in case of ITC on exempt supply becomes taxable supply. In this case, a registered person shall, subject to such conditions and restrictions as may be prescribed, he shall be entitled to take credit of input tax in respect of inputs which is held in stock, inputs contained in semi-finished goods, and finished goods which is held in stock. So you would have noticed that these three are common for everybody. 18(1)(a), B, C, D. चारों provision में inputs held in stock, input contained semi-finished goods, and input contained in uh, finished goods held in stock. On this, you will get the credit. And fourth one is capital goods, which is exclusively used for such exempt supply. So here additional is capital goods, but only those capital goods which are exclusively used for such exempt supply. What is the difference between capital goods, which is there in 18(1)(c) and 18(1)(d)? I will explain, but understand that there is a distinction there. 18(1)(c) said just capital goods, like in 18(1)(d) is saying that capital goods which is exclusively used for exempt supply. Okay. Again, here the date will be on 4 Bs of stock on the day immediately preceding the day from which such supply becomes taxable. Okay. So when the exempt here, they don't have to do anything. They don't have to change the registration. They don't have to apply for registration. They don't need to have any permission. Government will notify the rate, or that notification only will tell what is the effective date. So from that date, when the notification says that with effect from 1st January 2022, the rate of this will move from exempted to taxable. So that will be the date. So यहाँ पे there is no gadbad of which date we have to consider. We have to only consider the date which is from when the exempted goods becomes taxable goods. So on the day immediately preceding the date from which such supply becomes taxable, that date we have to consider. Clear? Correct. You're right, Naveen, because on other capital goods, ITC is already claimed. So here only which is those goods which have become used exclusively for exempt supply. Okay. So we will now understand what is this capital goods, and we will see what is the distinction between here. Okay. 18(1)(a), B, C, D, we have understood. In A and B, you will get only on inputs which is in stock, input which is contained in semi-finished goods, and the finished goods. These three things. But in 18(1)(c) and D, you get credit on capital goods as well. Okay. So 18(1)(a) is the first one, wherein a person who is liable for registration crosses the threshold and he applies for registration within 30 days. He gets credit of inputs and he gets, that's it, inputs. In inputs, you have three categories, that's fine, but all of that can be bundled as inputs. Input services not available, capital goods not available. And what is the stock to be considered for this? The day immediately preceding the date from which he becomes liable to pay tax, or immediately when he becomes liable to, the condition here said it, immediately preceding the day when he becomes liable to pay tax. Yes, when he becomes liable to pay tax. Voluntary registration, here also only inputs is available. These two things are not available. Date immediately preceding the date of grant of registration. In third case, 18(1)(c), from a composition scheme to regular scheme, here inputs is available. Input services is never available. Capital goods is also available on the day immediately preceding the day from which the supplier is liable to pay tax under the regular scheme. Okay, here also it will be the date from which the supplier is liable to pay tax. Here also, when he becomes liable to pay tax in 18(1)(a), similarly in 18(1)(c), also when the supplier is liable to pay tax under regular scheme. Fourth case is exempt supply becoming taxable. Here, ITC on inputs is available, services is never available to any of these things. So, if all these four conditions you see, ITC on services is never available. On capital goods, it is available only for capital goods, which is used exclusively for exempt supply. You have to consider on the day immediately preceding the day from which the exempt supplies becomes taxable. Here, the condition is in all these four things, the condition is the tax invoice basis which now the stock, whatever you have, that stock will have some backup because आपको अगर credit देना है तो कौन सा credit देना है, that has to be quantified through an invoice. Now that invoice should not be older than 1 year from the date of issue. In all the four cases, the stock का जो भी हम credit ले रहे हैं, that stock का जो invoice है, that should not be older than 1 year. Okay, and you have to give a declaration saying that this is my inputs, this is my capital goods within 30 days. So जब भी आप shift करते हो within 30 days, you have to give a declaration. Now that declaration has to be given within 30 days, and if the value of the tax, if you are claiming, is more than 2 lakh rupees, it has to be certified by a CA or CWA. If the credit you're claiming is less than 2 lakhs, then you can certify yourself. A taxpayer can self-certify itself. But if the credit what is claiming is more than 2 lakhs, it has to be certified by a chartered accountant, which means that a CA will have to verify whether that credit what he has taken is correct, and the conditions of 18, that is the invoice is not older than 1 year. Those things a CA has to check. Okay. And then credit on capital goods, when we say I had purchased the capital goods 1 year back because or say 6 months back. So it is eligible. But now for 6 months, I've utilized it. Maybe I've not paid tax, but the depreciation or utilization of the asset has happened. So in case of those capital goods, wherever I have utilized, right, I have used it, then credit on capital goods should be reduced by 5% per quarter and part thereof. Okay. Now, if I have moved from composition scheme to regular scheme on, say, the 30th June, and on 1st January, 30th June 2025, I've moved from composition scheme to regular scheme. Whatever were the inputs on the 30th June, I have claimed it. Now I had one capital good which I have purchased on 1st of January. Now the tax credit available on that, okay, is say 1 lakh rupees. So can I claim the full 1 lakh rupees? No. Then how much can I claim? 95,000. No, Jaya. 95%. No. So that provision related to tax should not be older than 1 year is inserted in collusion with the time limit specified 30th November of coming financial and filing of annual return. No, that time limit is yeah, that is like a extended. So that is a standard timeline. Here it is a different timeline. So it's a exception to that condition of 30th November. 23,750. No, that's wrong. Reduced by 5%. Tannu, wrong. So you understood my question, right? First January, I had purchased the fixed asset, and 30th September, I am moving from composition scheme to regular scheme. So on that 1 lakh rupees, when I was in composition, I could not have claimed. Now, when I'm moving to composition to regular, how much can I claim? Okay. So when I say 5% per quarter, it is 5% per quarter. मतलब कितना quarter चला गया है? Oh, lot of confusion here. For 3 quarters, no. No, no, no. Okay, okay. Let me take this with the number. These people are creating confusion. I'll take some example, then you will understand it better. I'll draw the numbers. Capital goods credit was rupees 1 lakh. Now this is bought on 1st January 2025. From composition to regular, I'm moving on 30th June 2025. So capital goods are used for how many quarters? January, February, March, April, May, June. Jan to March, 1 quarter, and April to June, 2 quarters. So I've used for 2 quarters. ठीक है? So 1 lakh के ऊपर for 2 quarters का credit I have to reduce each quarter 5%. Okay. So totally how many quarters it is available for? So the useful life under the GST, which I've today I didn't tell you, that's why I think you're doing that error in the calculation. That 5% per quarter means how many years it can be used for? 5% for 1 quarter. तो एक साल में कितने quarter हैं? 4 quarters. So in 1 year, how much credit can I claim for the depreciation? 5% into 4. That is 20%. So 20% for 1 year. When will it become 100%? It will become 20, 20, 20, 20, 20 for 5 years. So, which means 1 lakh is considered as the useful life for how many quarters? They are considered as useful life for 4 into 5, 20 quarters. Okay. So 11 lakh, 1 lakh divided by 20 is how much? 5,000. Okay. So 5,000 rupees per quarter. And 1 lakh के ऊपर I am telling you 2 quarters have been utilized. Okay. Each quarter के लिए 5% reduce करना भी है. That also I am saying. So 1 lakh into 5% is into 2 quarters. Is how much? One, not in thousand, 1 lakh. 1 lakh के ऊपर 5% is 5,000. 5,000 into 2 is 10,000. So you have utilized the capital for 2 quarters, and they are saying reduce the 5% per quarter or part thereof. What is part thereof? I'll come to you. But as of now, understand कि 5% per quarter reduce करना है. So 1 lakh का जो purchase था, उसके ऊपर you have utilized, because you have there under composition, you have utilized work 10,000. So you can claim ITC of rupees 90,000 rupees. Clear now? So forget this. This I was trying to give you the logic if you have understood that good. But simple, 1 lakh के ऊपर 5% into 2 quarters which you have utilized, you have to reduce and balance. You can claim the credit. Correct, Jaya Munucha. It should be mentioned as 40 lakhs. I will correct it because when it is exclusively service supply of goods, then it is 40 lakhs. When it is both goods and services, then it is 20 lakhs. 15%. No, why 3 quarters, Tannu? It is just 2 quarters, right? Got it, Namrata? Sure. A lot of questions. Yes. ITC available only 85,000. Wrong, no linga. Now you got the answer. Clear. Okay. For special category states, 75 lakhs. Special category states, the limit will be what? For them, the limit is how much? The limit will be 20 lakhs. So for them, it will be once they cross the 20 lakhs limit. So whatever is the limit, what you have understood in registration, that will continue. There's no change. Correct. We have utilized that asset for 2 quarters, so we cannot claim that credit. Correct. Understood. Very nice, Ashlisha. Prerna, did you get it? Now, 2.5%. Aditya, now are you clear? Yeah. Okay, good. So now it is clear, right? That जो भी asset है, how much we have used, उसका 5% we have to remove it off. Okay. Now little twist in the story. वॉलेंट्री रजिस्ट्रेशन में सर्टिफिकेट इश्यू से एक दिन पहले तक के स्टॉक का क्रेडिट क्लेम कर सकते हैं. करेक्ट, राइट, इन केस ऑफ वॉलेंट्री रजिस्ट्रेशन. Now bought on 1st January, composition to regular, I have switched on 30th July. Now here fill in the blanks. You're right, Ashlisha. Perfect answer आपका. Shamli Sharma, correct answer. Others, तनु विश्वकर्मा, yes, partly correct है, पूरा आंसर दीजिए. वेदांत तिवारी, रॉन्ग है आंसर आपका. ओके तनु, आंसर बोलिए. क्लेमेबल आईटीसी कितना है? Yeah, you're right, Navneet. Kuldeep wrong. Correct, Tanu. Others, come on. 7 quarters. Wrong. Kuldeep wrong. Simple, eh? Very, very simple. Why are you complicating it? Wrong, Jaya Munucha. I'm surprised. Vedant Tiwari wrong. Oh, I thought I will give out the answer now. Claimable ITC, Mute Sampath. Wrong. Namrata wrong. Aditya wrong. 6 quarters. प्रेरणा रॉन्ग. क्वेश्चन यहाँ पे है ना भैया, यहाँ पे आपको क्वेश्चन क्यों समझ में रॉन्ग से गुड योर मेड अटेलिएशन के ऊपर हमको कॉन्सेंट्रेट करना पड़ेगा. राइट. इंद्रानी लिंगा नहीं. ठीक है. सो लपा सॉरी. So capital goods 1 lakh which is brought on 1st January 2025. Composition to regular I have shifted on 30th July. Okay. Now first you tell me that. It says credit on capital goods shall be reduced to by 5% per quarter and part thereof. We have run this in income tax. Part thereof ko bhi hum, what is the meaning of part thereof? We have understood that. So it is being used for part of the quarter. So 1st January से 30th July कितने quarter हो जाएंगे? How many months? Firstly, it is 7 months. 7 months, correct? So 7 months means it is 2 quarters and 1 month. And they've said here in the left hand side, it's that it is 5% per quarter. दो पूरे क्वार्टर और एक मंथ के लिए भी मैं यूज किया हूं. सो आई विल टेल दैट आई यूज्ड इट फॉर द होल क्वार्टर. इट्स अ बेनिफिट व्हिच द गवर्नमेंट इज गिविंग यू. So you will say capital goods is used for 3 quarters. Now, for 3 quarters, this is the important point I've told you. Now, you give me the correct answer. People have already given the correct answer. Don't again give it. Let others give it properly. 7 months means 2 quarter, 1 month. Mustafa, तो हमको 3 quarter लेना पड़ेगा. Right? Yes. So now you're getting it correctly. On 1 lakh, we have to consider it for 3 quarters. At what percentage? Now you're getting it right. Correct. So what percentage will you consider? It is always 5%. Because any capital goods, it's not that machinery है तो ज़्यादा percentage, mobile है तो कम percentage. No. All capital goods under the Income Tax Act, under the Companies Act, we have different depreciation rate, useful life and all. But in GST, they are kept on standard rate, saying any capital goods which you purchase, on that, the depreciation rate will be 5%. So 1 lakh के ऊपर 5% into 3 makes it as 15,000. So 1 lakh minus 15,000 makes it as claimable ITC of rupees 85,000. Right. No part of the quarter Jaya Mucha, full quarter only. Now you're getting it. How to read word part thereof? So the exact meaning of the word you will see in the textbook. To understand it, I've said part thereof means अगर part of the quarter है, यहाँ पे 7 months हो गया, 8 months भी हो गया, या 8 months 10 20 days हो गया, still you will consider it as 3 quarters. That is the meaning of 5% per quarter and part thereof. Because of depreciation, ITC cannot be claimed for depreciation claim period. Correct. You can put it across that way also. How 3 quarters taken? I've explained here, no? 1st January to 31st March is 1 quarter. Then from 1st April to 30th June is second quarter. And from 1st July to 30th July is 1 month. But part of the quarter also has to be considered as full quarter. So that is the third quarter. 2 quarter and 3 days also 3 quarters. Yes, still it will be 3 quarters. So in case businessman switches from regular to composition scheme, then he can claim balance ITC on capital goods, right? There is a situation that is there in the subsequent section. We'll come and discuss that. Once we finish this, we're going to that itself. Okay. So this is understood now. Yeah, if this credit, what you're claiming, Navneet, if it is up to 2 lakh rupees, तो फिर आपको CA certification की जरूरत नहीं है. But if the credit, what you're claiming is above 2 lakhs, then you need that certification or the declaration should be certified by a chartered accountant or a cost and works accountant. It is benefit for the government as we get less ITC. No, it is benefit for the taxpayer because we will be claiming more ITC. So part of the quarter also, if they give that benefit, yeah. So we'll be claiming less. You're right. Right. So if they want mention part thereof, then what we have to consider? If they don't consider in the law itself, they have mentioned, ma. In the case they don't mention in the law, then we would have taken proportionally, like how some person done 33%, we would have taken that way. Yeah, and it has to be, this declaration has to be given within 30 days because government has to give you that credit, right? And they will take the credit. For that, you have to first take the credit and give this declaration. Okay. 18.4 says that you have to reverse the ITC when a registered person opts to pay tax under composition scheme. We had seen that from regular scheme, you are coming to, from composition scheme, you're coming to regular scheme. Now, when a person is moving from a regular scheme to a composition scheme, or when a person was paying taxable, now he's going to exempt supply. Matlab, he was getting all the benefits. Now he has to withhold or lose all the benefit. In that case, he has to pay an amount by debit in the electronic credit ledger or electronic cash ledger equivalent to the credit in respect of. So reversal of what we had done in this 18.1 ABCD, whatever was non-creditable, now we'll take the credit. Now in 18.4, whatever credit he has, that he has to reverse. So whatever was the inputs held in stocks and the inputs contained in work in progress, finished goods and capital goods, on the immediately preceding the day of this occurrence, he will have to reverse the credit. Wape, we had to claim the credit. Here, it's a reverse scenario, so you have to reverse the credit. So reversal of ITC on switching from regular taxpayer to composition levy are from taxable to exempt. Okay. So ITC on input should be reversed proportionately on the basis of invoice. Say you were claiming the credit. आपके पास 1 लाख का क्रेडिट है. You have utilized it. Now, on the moving from the regular scheme to composition scheme, you have goods only 50,000 rupees. So proportionate you have to reverse. ऐसा नहीं कि पूरा जो भी आपने claim कर दिया उसको reverse करना है. Because whatever claim you had done on that sales, what you had made, you have already discharged the GST. तो उसको आपको touch नहीं करना है. Whatever is the stock lying, उसके ऊपर proportionately you have to reverse the credit based on the invoices. If invoices are not available, then ITC can be reversed on the basis of prevailing market rate. कि आप बोल दोगे आपके पास invoice नहीं थे, बहुत पुराने थे, because here that 1 year's time limit is not applicable. In 18(1) A, B, C, D, we had that 1 year's time limit because to claim the credit. Reversal के लिए they've said कितना भी पुराना stock हो, लेकिन अगर आपके आज के दिन when you're moving from a taxable to composition or you're moving from tax paying to exempted, जो भी पुराना स्टॉक है पुराना कितना भी रहने दीजिए उसके ऊपर आपको रिवर्स करना पड़ेगा. ओके. नाउ जो भी रिवर्सल है दिस शुड बी सर्टिफाइड बाय अ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट. हियर देयर इज नो लिमिट ऑफ 2 lakhs और एनीथिंग. द कंप्लीट स्टॉक जो रिवर्सल करना है यू इट हैज टू बी डन सर्टिफाइड बाय अ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट. एंड रिवर्सल ऑफ आईटीसी ऑन कैपिटल गुड्स सेम ईयर. आईटीसी इन्वॉल्व इन रिमेनिंग यूजफुल लाइफ दैट इज सेम क्वार्टरली जो बेसिस है. वॉट एवर क्वार्टर्स यू हैव यूज्ड इट, ठीक है आपने यूज कर लिया, बैलेंस जो बचेगा उसको आपको रिवर्स करना है. सो आईटीसी ऑन इनपुट्स यू विल रिवर्स एंड आईटीसी ऑन कैपिटल गुड्स यू विल रिवर्स. And debit the electronic credit ledger or electronic cash ledger. ECRL means electronic credit ledger and ECL means cash ledger. जो भी आपको टैक्स पेएबल आएगा you have to pay it either from the credit ledger or cash ledger. After doing this, if there is any balance of ITC in your electronic credit ledger, that will get lapsed. So आपका electronic credit ledger आपको पूरा zero करना पड़ेगा. You have to reverse completely electronic credit ledger. In case Diya Jain, good question, sir. Net ITC should be reversed. There will not be any net ITC. It will be gross ITC itself. It will be based on the calculation. Whatever is your stock on that gross ITC itself, do the calculation. And in case no ITC is left, no reversal, no, then you will have to pay it from your cash ledger because you have utilized it. Okay. So there will be no question that there is no credit balance. So, bus maaf. No. You will have to pay it from your cash ledger because you have utilized that and you have utilized for the output tax. आपने पूरा credit utilize कर दिया है. So when on the date moving from the taxable to exempted, whatever is the stock lying on that, when you do the calculation, there is a tax payable. You will have to pay it through your cash ledger. You will have to pay it from your bank account. Next is cancellation. But before that, these two slides you understand. आप इसको देखोगे तो you will get clarity. We will take up some numbers also and understand this. Clear on this? Because in the previous cases we had examples. इसमें तो very simple to understand. जो भी हमने किया उसका रिवर्सल ही करना है. क्लियर. ओके. तो जो भी आईटीसी है उसको रिवर्स करना पड़ेगा कैलकुलेशन करके. And if something has to be paid, which is more than your credit ledger, so that we have to pay from your cash. And when the credit itself is so high and you have reversed the complete credit, फिर भी कुछ credit बचता है, then that also has to get reversed. That is what 18.4 is saying. ठीक है. Now, when you cancel, so अगर आप cancel कर लेते हो, because this was the question which quite a few students had asked that ITC have claimed. Okay. Now, I'm closing down my business and I'm canceling my registration. So, will I get the credit? Because now I'm not selling anything, so I cannot utilize it. Will I get the refund of it? The answer is no. You should have done your business in a profitable manner and you should have utilized the credit. If you have not utilized the credit, on cancellation, you will not get any benefit. In fact, on cancellation of registration, you have to reverse the ITC on inputs, input stocks, finished goods, and reversal of ITC on capital goods, or the output tax payable on such goods, whichever is higher, you have to pay. क्योंकि आपके पास स्टॉक है, आपको स्टॉक बेचना है. इफ यू सेल इट, then you will pay the GST by utilizing the credit. Fine. Now you're not selling it and the stock is just lying. Then the government is saying that whatever is the ITC on those goods, including the capital goods, you calculate them. And what is the tax payable if you sell them? Whichever is higher, you will have to pay to the government. Okay. Now, even if you go to the GST office, still you will not get any refund. Come on, come on. This is, you understood. I think you have understood this very well because you have understood the 18 thing, that how you have to do it. Okay, so let's test your knowledge. I'll just try to see if I have some question so that we can understand if you have understood. Just give me one moment. Because these things are generally not prioritized. As I'm seeing in the study material also, the questions on input tax credit availment is there, but there's no question on these parts. So let me ask you a question with numbers so that I will understand whether your claim, your understood it clearly or not. बरोबर लिखना please. Normally it is 30 gigawatt before, normally gigawatt to go. Uh, Let me see. There is a question on 18.4. Yes. Yes, I will show you a question. Question number 37. Yes, there is a practical question. Once we do this, you will have a full clarity on this. Yeah, this is the question. Correct. Reversal of ITC दिया जाए 5% reducing method से ही होगा. Yes, that is the same. A hotel service provider is moving to only restaurant service. Then ITC reversal करना पड़ेगा क्योंकि 5% तो output देगा. 5% output है, but that condition is 5% without ITC. So it will be treated as though he is moving from taxable to exempted. That condition will be applicable, Navneet. Okay. This is the question. Now you tell me if what is the answer. concept has to get engrossed. So that gets engrossed in such difficult topics if you do the workings. If you do the workings, you'll definitely understand this concept. Vedant Tiwari total ITC reversal is 1,14,316. Okay, good attempt, good attempt. Very nice. Okay, so we'll try to solve this question. As per section 18.4, I hope my screen is visible. Let me reshare it. And dry screen, that's better so that. So, as per section 18.4, where any registered person who has availed input tax credit and the goods or services are both supplied by him becomes wholly exempt, then he shall be liable to pay an amount by way of debit in the electronic credit ledger or the electronic cash ledger equivalent to the credit of ITC in respect of inputs held in stock and inputs containing semi-finished goods or finished goods held in stock and on capital goods taking useful life of capital goods as 5 years on the immediately preceding day of such exemption. So this is a complete reproduction of the section. You don't have to write it like this itself. You can write it on your own words saying that what happens when a person is moving from taxable to exempt. Okay. And the balance of ITC, if any, lying in the credit ledger shall lapse. Just this, if you explain in your own words, the examiner will know that you know the provision. Okay. So, what is the inputs lying in stock? The question said that the inputs lying in stock was how much? Here it is 1,12,000, which is inclusive of GST and SGST. So मतलब credit कितना है on 1,12,000? 1,12,000 into 12 by 112. You can't just take straight away 12% because it is inclusive of tax, right? So the value is 1 lakh and the tax is 12,000 rupees. Clear? Yeah. Jaya Manoj, your answer is correct. 12,000 ITC, correct. So that is on the first part. Second, inputs in process, they've said 80,640. Again, that is inclusive of tax. So 80,640 into 12 by 112. Finished goods valuing 5 lakh 60,000 are in stock. The input cost is 50% of the value. So inputs contained in finished goods lying in stock is 5 lakh 60 on that 50% into 12 by 112. Then input tax on capital goods is 72,000 and these were purchased on 1st August 2017. So from August 2017 till the date of our reversal is 51 quarters. Okay, how is that 51 quarters? From August 17 till April, uh, from August 17 to May 18 will be seven quarters. Sorry, 9 quarters. 9 quarters. So 9 quarters, if you reduce balance credit, you can claim. Okay. This you don't have to multiply the tax again. Here it is values. Here it is input tax credit. That's the difference. In the question, you have to be careful. They will give you value sometimes, sometimes tax. So here in first thing, it is all value. Here it is not value, it is the tax component itself. How do I know? Because they have stated the input tax credit on capital goods. मतलब input tax credit जो बचा है वो है 72,000 rupees. On 72,000 value, you have to do the calculation. 72,000 पे कितना क्वार्टर्स यूज कर दिया है? मई 2018 से अगस्त 2017. अकॉर्डिंग टू माय कैलकुलेशन इट इज 9 months, 9 quarters, not 9 months. It is 9 quarters. Yeah, 9 months. So here I will have to take on not on basis of quarter, I have to take on the basis of number of months. So I will take I 51. It is used for 9 months. Balance is 56 months. So on 56 months credit जो है, I will calculate and I will reverse 1,11,000 rupees. So here it is number of months. Unlike in 18, it is in base of quarters. So 1,11,000 I have to reverse. Now the amount in my credit ledger, they said is 1,52,000. So 152 may say 1,11,000 I will reverse. Balance will get lapsed. Okay. Suppose in this case, you say that your balance in your credit ledger was 1 lakh rupees. Then they will have to pay 11,840 from their own pocket. That is the meaning of balance in credit ledger if it is there and balance in credit ledger if it is not there. Clear now? Why labs? Because that's the condition, Jaya Munocha, that when you're moving from a taxable to exempt, your credit should not be there. So they have given a condition that your credit will get lapsed completely. Capital goods ITC reversal, Vedant, here capital goods ITC reversal will be based on number of months and not based on number of quarters. So they have utilized the asset for 9 months. So we will reduce the 9 months and balance is what we will calculate for reversal. 72,000 में से 15% डायरेक्टली कैसे कर सकते हैं? You have to do the calculation. Yeah, only 12 months is 1 year. Correct. Correct. No, life of assets, we have to assume always 5 years only. 51, 60 or 60 months. That is, the life of the asset is always considered for 5 years. Right? 5 years matlab kitne months हुए? 60 months. And 51 months, how do I get 60 minus the number of months I've used that asset for? I've used the assets for 9 months. So I will reduce from 69 months because I've utilized it. On that, I do not have to reverse it. Balance 50 months ke upar, which I have not utilized, I will reverse the credit. Clear, Aditya? 9 months का 3 quarters हुआ. यहाँ पे quarters calculate नहीं होगा, नवनीत. यहाँ पे number of months होगा calculation. Clear, Aditya? Very nice. But it is given that capital goods reverse will be done on the basis of quarter. No, we'll have to do based on number of months. The first three is correct. Okay, very good, Ashlesha. Fourth one you can consider. We'll have to come to that marks split, Aditya. When the board of studies faculty comes, they will give you an explanation of the marks and the breakup. I will show you the question, Navneet. Ms. Indrani, what is your question? Not that way, Dia. There, the provision in 18 said per quarter. Here, when you're moving it, here it doesn't say per quarter. That's the reason. Reversal of ITC on capital goods, reversal of ITC on capital goods. That's what it says. That's the reason. See, here it says ITC involved in remaining useful life in months, reduced on a pro rata basis. That's why on only in this case you will consider on months. In every other case, you will consider quarter only. 5% वाला कैलकुलेशन जब एग्जेम्प्ट टू टैक्सेबल आता है तब 5% वाला कैलकुलेशन होगा, यहाँ पे 5% वाला कैलकुलेशन नहीं होगा. करेक्ट. ऑलवेज यूजफुल लाइफ 5 साल ही लेना है नवमी. क्लियर. वेरी नाइस लिंगा. सर अभी बताया ना कुलदीप जी, बिकॉज द प्रोविजन इफ यू सी आपको सी योर टेक्स्ट बुक ऑल्सो यू विल गेट टू नो दैट आईटीसी इन्वॉल्व फॉर स्विचिंग फ्रॉम. ओके. देयर आर टू थिंग्स. वन इज फ्रॉम कॉम्पोजिशन टू रेगुलर जाते हो, देन इट इज डिफरेंट. फ्रॉम रेगुलर टू कॉम्पोजिशन आते हो, देन इट इज डिफरेंट. नाउ क्लियर. वेरी नाइस. बट आंसर इज कमिंग सेम by 5% calculation also. Oh, okay. Shocking. Correct. Correct. Only for this section. Right. 1,11,000 minus 1 lakh. How is this came? Huh. So what I'm saying is the question said that the balance in your electronic credit ledger was 1,52,000. So you will reverse 1,11,840 and 40,160. What is the balance will get lapsed. Now I'm saying that not this is not there in the question. For your understanding, I'm making you explain that 1,11,000 has to be reversed. Now say if instead of 1,52,000, the balance in your electronic credit ledger was 1 lakh rupees, then what you would have done, you have to reverse how much? 1,11,840. Balance in your credit ledger is 1 lakh. So you reverse that 1 lakh. Balance 11,840 you have to reverse, but you do not have it in your credit ledger. So that you will have to pay it in cash, that you have to pay a challan to the GST department to the extent of 11,840. Because full 1 lakh 11,840 they want either from credit ledger or cash ledger. Credit ledger may, if you had 1 lakh, you will reverse 1 lakh, and balance you will pay from your cash ledger. That is what I'm saying. 72,000 जो है क्वेश्चन में ही दिया है मुजाहिद. If you have 1,50,000 in cash ledger, then balance. In cash ledger, it will never get lapsed. In the credit ledger, that will get lapsed. Cash ledger cannot get lapsed. Okay, quarter wise also you're saying you're getting the same answer. Okay, fine. Clear? My basic reason to give this example was to make you understand that credit inclusive of tax, you have to be careful. Tax amount given, you have to be careful. And when you will show that what happens to the balance in the credit ledger and what happens to the balance in the cash ledger. कैश लेजर का क्या होगा? कैश लेजर यू कैन क्लेम द रिफंड. कैश लेजर इज like equivalent to your bank balance. So whatever is in the cash ledger, you can apply for refund and get it. Okay. One more concept is forget all these things that moving from taxable to exempt, exempt to taxable, all of that is fine. Now, when you're selling any capital goods, then also you have to pay GST. So you will pay GST on either the transaction value, जो भी आप sale कर रहे हो, on that you calculate the tax payable, or same ITC taken on capital goods reduced by 5% per quarter, whichever is higher, that you will pay. Which means what? In capital goods, when you sell, you will don't have to pay tax only on one component, that your sale value, you will pay the tax. They have given you the benefit of the credit at the time of purchase. Full credit mil gaya hai. Now, when you're selling it, the government thought that you will use it for 5 years. That's why they said when you're buying the capital goods, we'll give you the full credit. But if you're selling it before that itself, then they're saying that reduce it by the utilization 5% per quarter, and balance you compare it with your GST, what is payable on the sale value. Suppose आपने 1 लाख का credit लिया है. Now you're selling it for peanuts, saying that output tax आपका credit तो आपने 1 लाख लिया है, लेकिन आप tax जो pay करो सिर्फ 50,000. So then it become advantage. That's why government is saying when you have taken 1 lakh, reduce it by the number of quarters. And if you reduce it by 4 quarters, say it's coming as 80,000, and on your output tax, so sale pay hai 50,000 rupees. So you cannot get the benefit of both. You just pay 50,000 and be happy. Credit तो पूरा आपने 1 लाख ले लिया और tax 50,000 पे करोगे. That is not right. So do a comparison. 1 lakh, reduce 5% per quarter, say it's coming as 80,000 rupees. So pay tax of 80,000 and not 50,000 is what it's saying. So on sale of capital goods, you have to do this comparison. ITC should have been availed. First is you should have availed it. Suppose like you have bought a car. Car के ऊपर we know that it is a block credit. We will not claim the credit itself. There is no problem. You don't have to do this comparison. But wherever capital goods you have taken and availed the credit, then on you have to do this comparison and pay whichever is higher. But this you still do not have to do for refractory bricks, molds and dies, jigs and fixtures. मतलब they are all items which are used in a factory and which will be utilized, right? It will get worn and torn. तो वहां पे आपको ये comparison करने की जरूरत नहीं है. Difference between credit ledger and cash ledger: whatever purchases we make, Jaya Munocha, on that the credit goes to the credit ledger, and whatever amount we pay to the GST portal, that is there in the cash ledger. That is like your bank account. Credit ledger is not like a bank account because credit can be utilized only for payment. Any balance in the credit, you just cannot claim the refund. But in cash, whatever you pay, excess pay ho gaya, you can claim that as refund. Clear? लेस भी पे कर सकते हैं इन केस ऑफ फैक्ट्री ब्रिक्स. सेल वैल्यू जो है ऑन दैट यू हैव टू पे. ये कंपैरिजन करने की जरूरत नहीं है. 18.6 not clear. Can you explain by giving examples? Sure, I will give you some examples. Okay. Before 18.6, what we'll do is we'll take a break here, and we'll just take a break of 10 minutes and come back. Then I'll give you an example for 18.6 and then understand this. So on capital goods, what should we do was the question, right? I'll take a simple example here to make you understand this. Machinery purchased. The value of machinery was 10 lakh rupees. Okay. Machinery is a not a block credit. So no restriction under 17. ITC 18%. 1 lakh 80,000 is claimed. Okay. This happened on 1st January 2024. You have purchased and you have claimed it. So, unlike depreciation where you claim it partly every year, in GST, you do not have to claim part credit. You can claim full credit. So, full 1,80,000, government is giving you the credit with the assumption that you will utilize the machinery fully. Fully means not like 10 years or 12 years or different years, not even 3 years. They're saying utilize the capital goods for 5 years. So if you're utilizing it for 5 years, 1,80,000 credit is yours. No reversal required. But for whatever reasons, if you're selling the machinery beforehand, before the 5 years time, okay, now you have sold this machinery on 1st or 30th June 2025 for a sale value of 10 lakhs ka machinery tha. It was outdated, so you have just sold it for 4 lakh rupees. Now, based on this, you tell me what will be the GST payable. तनु विश्वकर्मा आपका क्लियर था ना 18,600, तो इसलिए 72,000 आप बोल रहे हो. कैसे बोल रहे हो? Have you done this comparison so fast? It is useful. If it is useful, life is 3 years. Still, Jaya Manocha, very nice question. That if it is more, this is less. If it is less, is it less? No. It is still 5 years only. For capital goods, GST recognizes the useful life as 5 years only. 4 lakh into 18% directly. Okay, so GST payable is 4 lakh into 18%, which is 72,000 rupees. बस स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड है. तो फिर ये प्रोविजन क्या बोलता है? टैक्स पेएबल इज हायर ऑफ द टू. 1,26,000 is what another answer I'm getting. 72 is what Aditya is saying. इतना straight forward होता तो मैं इतना answers I wouldn't say, right? Vedant is saying 126. Okay. Ashlesha is also saying 126. Okay. Right. So that means we have to work out and see how 126 is getting. So when you sell any capital goods, yes, correct, Shamli. You have to do a comparison between the ITC because ITC 1,80,000 तो आपने ले लिया है. गवर्नमेंट ने क्या बोला, आप 5 साल के लिए यूज करोगे, इसीलिए हम आपको फर्स्ट डे क्रेडिट दे देते हैं. लेकिन आप 5 साल के लिए यूज नहीं करते हो. यू यूटिलाइज फॉर हाउ मेनी क्वार्टर्स? जनवरी 2024 से 30th जून विल मेक इट एज जनवरी 2024 का फुल 4 क्वार्टर्स एंड 25 का 2 क्वार्टर्स. सो 6 क्वार्टर्स यू हैव यूटिलाइज्ड इट. So 1,80,000 into, so this is the second part. This is a tax on transaction value. Okay, which is coming as 72,000. Now ITC, balance ITC, I will call it as balance of ITC, because in capital goods, 1,80,000 pay 5% per quarter into 6 quarters, which gives you how much? 30% of 1,80,000. 54,000. Okay. So 54,000, you are getting it. Credit available at the time of purchase was 1,80,000, and अपने फॉर्मूला के हिसाब से पर क्वार्टर 5% क्वार्टर कम करेंगे. So 1,80,000 minus 56,000 gives you 1,24,000 rupees. So whichever is higher you will pay. You'll do a comparison between 72 and 1,24,000. So GST payable will be whichever is higher, which is 1,24,000 rupees. Thanks, Ashlisha. Higher of 73, whichever is higher. Yes. Right, Shamli. How 6 quarters, only 3 quarters? Simple है भाई. एक क्वार्टर में कितने महीने हैं आदित्य? 3 months is one quarter, right? So in 2024 full year, how many quarters are there? Because you're purchased on January. So January में how many quarters are there in 1 year? 3. नहीं भैया. One quarter is 3 months and 1 year has 12 months. 4 quarters. So January 2024 till December 2024, 4 quarters, right? So 2024 हो गया. Now come to 25. In 25, they've used up till 30th June. So how many quarters in 2025? 2. So 4 plus 2 is 6 quarters. So then it is 6 quarters then. Now clear? Now got it. Good, Tanu. Sir, I'm confused between when to consider months and when to consider quarters. My answer for this is, but I am confused. Okay. So when in all cases it is per quarter, in only one instant it is per month, when it is from a taxable to exempt, or from regular to composition. Only in these two instances it is per month. In all other instances it is quarter only. Yeah, it will come same per month also, but the methodology is this itself, Ashlesh. If GST is capitalized with planned purchase cost, then credit can be taken? No. We know that, right? If it is the depreciation is GST is capitalized, then you cannot claim the depreciation. If GST is capitalized with plant purchased, okay. If GST is capitalized with plant purchase, it means you're claiming depreciation on that. Then you don't have to do this comparison. Then whatever is the sale value on that, you pay the GST. Yes, Navneet.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Sir, actually, I have a doubt that if I am calculating the answer divided by 6 and multiplying by 42, it is coming the same answer. And
Yeah.
yeah, so sir, what is the rule is to be applied in the examination?
In the calculation, you have to do per quarter calculation only because the rule says so. You have to do per quarter calculation itself.
तो सर मेरे पास डाउट ये आ रहा है कि पर मंथ 5% कब लेना है एंड डिवाइडेड बाय 60 इंटू रेस्ट ऑफ द मंथ कब करना है मतलब ऐसा कोई
No, no,
कैलकुलेशन
दोनों
है क्या?
सेम ही रहेगा बिकॉज इधर यू डू 60 - 6 करोगे तो भी 54 है और पूरा 1,80,000 -54 करोगे सो इट्स द सेम. इट्स
तो सर
मैथ्स
किसी
अल्टीमेटली सो इट इज सेम बोथ द वेज.
तो मतलब अल्टरनेटिव किसी से भी कर सकते हैं ना हम सॉल्व?
करेक्ट.
ओके सर, थैंक यू.
Why 5 years only we take Mujahid? Because the capital goods under GST are considered that the life is for 5 years. That's why we always consider 5 years. Whichever is higher between what? Between the sale value के ऊपर GST या फिर ITC after the reduction of 5% per quarter. These two we have to compare. If immovable property sale, can we take the credit? On immovable property sale, we cannot take the credit because on immovable property sale, there is no GST itself. On immovable property, there is no GST, so there is no question of claiming credit also.
हेलो
Yes, Tanush.
सर, क्वार्टर टू सभी केस में सेम ही होगा ना, जनवरी से मार्च एंड मार्च फिर अप्रैल से जून.
नहीं, वैसे नहीं होगा. जिस मंथ से आप परचेज करते हो, उस मंथ से आपको 3 मंथ्स का एक क्वार्टर कंसिडर करना है.
मतलब जिस मंथ में हमने परचेज किया उस मंथ से लेके 3 मंथ कंप्लीट करना है क्वार्टर की.
करेक्ट. करेक्ट.
ओके.
So the next question is, will these two transactions are in different year, will it have an effect? No. For GST purpose, it will not have any effect. The calculation will still be same itself. Okay. So this we are clear. I'll move to the next aspect that when there is a change in constitution, when there is a change in the constitution, matlab, in this specific change, when there is a sale of business, there's a merger, demerger, amalgamation, seal, lease or transfer of business, then in case of transfer of unutilized ITC in the books shall be allowed to such sold, merged, demerged entity. Matlab, in case there is any of these specific transactions, then the ITC can be apportioned and given to the new entity. Like in case of a merger, two entities are coming together. So the ITC which were available to the past two entities will be transferred to the new entity. Similarly, in case of amalgamation, in case of demerger, part of the unit is getting demerged, right? Because in demerger, full entity doesn't get demerged. Because if full entity gets demerged, it's like an amalgamation. In a demerger, one unit is getting demerged. So then you have to calculate the ITC for that unit and pass the credit to that. That is what is this 18.3 saying that in case of any of these change in constitution, the credit has to be passed on through a certificate from a chartered accountant, and the transfer, how it will happen? It will happen through a form called as ITC 02. Okay. Next, transfer of ITC on obtaining separate registration. जैसे बिजनेस मर्जर डीमर्जर में ट्राइम में ट्रांसफर हुआ है, वैसे ही अगर यू हैव अ एग्जिस्टिंग रजिस्ट्रेशन, यहाँ पे आपका पूरा क्रेडिट है. नाउ यू आर टेकिंग अ न्यू रजिस्ट्रेशन. Okay, within the same state, you're taking a new registration, then you can transfer the credit to this new unit. Okay, how much will you
Sir,
transfer?
I'm
Yes, Aditi.
audible.
Yes.
Sir, what is an amalgamation?
What is the?
Hello?
Yes.
Amalgamation with example, sir. Amalgamation example.
Amalgamation, in your accounting standards, you will understand that when two entities, one entity is getting amalgamated with another entity, that is called amalgamation. Amalgamating is one entity getting absorbed by another entity. That is called amalgamation.
Mhm. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, AS14. Thanks, Golti. So you have to read AS14, sir, to understand that completely. Yes. Even if it is for a different business, still you can do it. Yes. Because business can be different, but these corporate actions are being taken up. That's why that credit will be allowed. Now, similar to this, when a business is getting transferred to whatever is your credit ledger, you can shift it to the new entity. That is also possible. The transferor can transfer the unutilized ITC lying in electronic credit ledger to any of the transferee, that is the new registered person. In what ratio? In the ratio of value of assets held by them. You have 10 lakhs worth of assets. 4 lakh worth of assets is getting transferred. So ITC you will give in the ratio of 4 is to 10 because 4 lakh is getting transferred. Balance 6 is with you. ITC you have to transfer. You can transfer. It's not a compulsion. It's an option that when a new entity is registered, you can transfer the credit, but it should be in the proportion of value assets. You cannot transfer full credit, right? Because you will also have to pay the taxes. Government is worried about your registration also. So you can transfer the credit to the extent of the value of assets. For this purpose, value of assets means entire assets. Whether ITC is claimed, not claimed, that bifurcation is not required to be done. Whole of your assets you have to see and do the proportionate transfer. This you have to do on the common portal within a period of 30 days from obtaining new registration. So if you obtain a new registration in a different state, then this will not apply. This will apply only when you take a new registration within the state. Okay. You will transfer it and the transferee will accept it. Simple. Next, how do you utilize the credit? Oops, what happened to this? Okay. You can utilize the credit in the following manner that IGST credit first utilize with IGST, then with CGST and with SGST. CGST credit you can utilize with CGST and then with IGST. SGST credit utilize with SGST first, then with IGST. One moment. For this ITC utilization, I'll give you a flow chart wherein we can understand. Yes, yes. One moment. Yeah, I will just make you understand how this credit flow applies. So then you will understand this. You have three buckets with you. One is IGST, CGST, and SGST. This is very important because this can't be explained in a theoretical form. That's why I've given a diagram for you to understand which credit can be utilized first and how it can be utilized. So just pay attention for this. ITC of three buckets: IGST, CGST, and SGST. Now, IGST ka ITC credit you can utilize for payment of what? For payment of IGST. Always like with like. I goes with I, C goes with C, S goes with S. That is the first rule. So IGST input tax credit you can utilize for any IGST output tax payable. First, utilize the IGST credit always, then utilize the CGST and SGST. So the credit of IGST can be utilized for IGST payment. And if something is left out as a balance, then you can utilize for CGST and SGST in any proportion. You want to utilize CGST more, SGST 10%, CGST 90%, you can do it. Here, this can be done in any proportion. Okay. Then that is IGST you will utilize. Then you have credit of CGST. CGST credit you will utilize with your CGST payable. Then balance you can utilize for IGST payable. So here you have utilized, no, yes. But here, agar it is, say, I have credit of 90,000 rupees, IGST payable is 1,50,000 rupees. So I can utilize only 90,000 here. This I cannot do. And whatever is balance 60,000, I can utilize from CGST. So IGST यूटिलाइज इट इफ फुल्ली अवेलेबल एग्जॉस्टेड बैलेंस जो भी है सीजीएसटी के क्रेडिट से आप क्लेम कर सकते हो. Similarly, SGST credit you can utilize for SGST output tax liability like with like, and balance you can utilize for payment of IGST. But one thing you have to note is CGST cannot be offset with SGST and SGST cannot be offset with CGST. CGST and SGST दोनों का there is a conflict. They do not handshake with each other. Okay. Sir, IGST will prioritize CGST or SGST, sir. Is there any kind of restriction? Yes. IGST for first utilize with IGST fully, then go with utilizing with CGST and SGST. That's a priority. That's the utilization which you have to do. You have to pay any payable of IGST from IGST credit only first. Clear on this? आईजीएसटी का सीजीएसटी और एसजीएसटी में से कोई प्रायोरिटी होगा क्या? नहीं. आईजीएसटी का क्रेडिट आप आईजीएसटी के लिए यूज कीजिए, फिर सीजीएसटी और एसजीएसटी में एनी प्रोपोर्शन में कर सकते हो, उसमें प्रायोरिटी नहीं रहे. यूटीजीएसटी जहां पर भी सीजीएसटी है ना भैया, वहां पे जहां पे भी एसजीएसटी है वो स्टेट के लिए है, जहां पे भी यूनियन टेरिटरी होगा दैट एसजीएसटी विल गेट रिप्लेस्ड विथ यूटीजीएसटी. ओके. सो लेट्स नाउ मूव टू द नेक्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट. सो सेक्शंस कवर हो गए. नाउ देर आर रूल्स विच आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट Now, those rules sometimes restrict the credit. Okay. Why? Because sometimes what happens, the credit what we see and the credit what is available will have lot of impact. So let me share my screen again. ITC utilization rules we have seen. Next is on the restriction of credits. We have two rules which are relevant. कोई भी रेशियो में कर सकते हैं to CGST and SGST. Yes, correct. Cement have a GST, sir. Yes, on cement you have GST of 28%. You have a higher rate. Okay. Now ITC ले लिया है. Now people will start misutilizing the ITC. That is the reason government has provided for some restrictions. Now, what are these restrictions saying? These restrictions are saying that your credit will get blocked sometimes. When it will get blocked, why it will get blocked? It will get blocked because people misutilize the credit. So that's the reason they've said there are few restrictions where the officer has reasons to believe that credit of input tax, which is available in the credit electronic credit ledger, has been fraudulently availed. If the proper officer has reasons to believe, matlab he has good reasons to believe, matlab he has good evidence to prove that you have taken the credit erroneously, you have taken the credit fraudulently, आपने fraud करके credit लिया है, then आपके electronic credit ledger पे blockage आ जाएगा. They'll give some restriction. Now, what is this restriction? That restriction will be imposed by the commissioner on यूटिलाइजिंग द आईटीसी. आपको ब्लॉक कर दिया जाएगा कि आप आपके आईटीसी को यूटिलाइज नहीं कर सकते हो फॉर पेमेंट ऑफ टैक्स. And the credit of input tax have been availed on the strength of a when can you put this restriction? You can put this restriction when the credit of input tax has been availed on the strength of tax invoice or valid document issued by a non-existent supplier. You have taken credit from a person who is a fake person. He is not existing, but he's just given you the credit, or by a person not conducting any business. If they find out that the supplier with whom you're dealing is doing any of these things, then they will block your credit. Or you have taken the credit without receipt of goods. In these situations, what will happen? The commissioner will impose a blockage on your credit. आप credit को utilize नहीं कर सकते हो, and the tax in relation to which has not been paid by the government. इतने सारे cases हैं that fake invoices become very big menace. So if you purchase from any person who is giving you a fake invoice and the officer finds it, then your credit will be blocked. The registered person availing the credit of ITC has been found non-existing or not to be conducting, or you are only not existing. First is supplier is not existing, he is not doing business, he is supplied credit to you without supplying goods. Then the registered person availing ITC is not in possession of a tax invoice. In such cases, Rule 86A gives power to the officer. Who is that officer? Commissioner. He can block your credit and you cannot utilize your credit at all. Same, और वी हैव अंडरस्टूड सेक्शन 16 की आईटीसी का क्रेडिट इतना इंपॉर्टेंट है कि आपको क्रेडिट यूटिलाइज करना है. बट इफ यू डू एनी ऑफ दीज फ्रॉडुलेंट थिंग्स, द ऑफिसर कैन ब्लॉक योर क्रेडिट. 1 साल के लिए आपको क्रेडिट यूटिलाइज करने का मौका नहीं दिया जाएगा. क्लियर? So ITC will be blocked if the utilization is not happening properly. So you should always claim credit from a genuine supplier. Shouldn't buy credit. You should actually buy goods. Credit will automatically come to you. Various people are involved in fraudulent transactions. वहां पे if the officer gets to know, your credit will be blocked. That restriction will be for 1 year. After 1 year, that restriction will get removed automatically. What should we do if unblock the credit? You have to prove that you purchased from a genuine person. You will have to prove that the supplier for whom you have purchased, you know him. You take that supplier to the officer, saying, prove him, saying that no, he has done wrongly something, he's done by mistake, but not fraudulently. You will have to prove it to the officer, then your credit blockage will get removed. Okay, what is the next is 86B. So 86A में आपका credit block हो जाएगा for 1 year. Now next restriction is 86B. What does 86B says that 86B limits the use of input tax credit. Here यहाँ पे restriction नहीं है, but it will tell you to limit the credit, which means the credit which is available in your credit ledger for discharging the output tax liability. This rule has an overriding impact. The rule is applicable for whom? It is applicable for registered person having taxable value of supply in a month which is more than 50 lakhs. मतलब छोटे छोटे suppliers को they have not disturbed. They've said that if you're a big supplier, how do you describe the big supplier? You're a supplier having sale value of 50 lakh rupees or more in 1 month. Month, not a year. तो एक साल में अगर आपका 50 लाख रुपए का सेल्स है, 50 लाख रुपए का सर्विस है, एनीथिंग, बिकॉज इट इज सप्लाई अदर देन एग्जाम सप्लाई एंड एक्सपोर्ट सप्लाई, जीरो रेटेड और एग्जाम को हटा के योर नॉर्मल सप्लाई वैल्यू इज मोर देन 50 lakhs, then you are restricted by 86B. What is this restriction? The restriction says that the registered person cannot use ITC in excess of 99% of the output tax liability. मतलब, in simple words, more than 99% of the output tax liability cannot be discharged by utilizing the ITC credit. 1 crore, or say, not by 1 crore rupees, say 1 lakh rupees. 1 lakh rupees आपका tax liability है. You cannot utilize, अगर आपकी credit में 1,20,000 है, and your turnover is more than 50 lakhs, you cannot utilize full 1 lakh from the credit ledger. You can utilize only 99%. मतलब 99,000 आप credit ledger से ले सकते हो. 1%, that is 99 lakhs. Our example was tax of 1 lakh rupees. 99,000 you can utilize from your credit ledger. 1,000 rupees you have to pay from your cash ledger. That is the simple restriction of 86B. That's a simple restriction of 86B, saying that if your value is more than 50 lakh rupees sales per month, then एटलीस्ट 1% तो आप कैश से पे करो ना, पूरा क्रेडिट से पे करोगे, गवर्नमेंट को कुछ मिलेगा ही नहीं. That's why they have said that we want to see whether you are genuine taxpayer or no. So if you are doing transaction more than 50 lakh rupees, 99% आप क्रेडिट से पे करो, 1% you paid from your cash ledger. Monthly 50 lakhs, yes, monthly 50 lakhs का outward supply. Now, it applies to all companies. It applies to all companies, all individuals, everybody. But then there were few genuine taxpayers saying that I actually have credit. So much of credit I have because I've purchased capital goods. My sales business is so tight that I have to sell at lower price. So many things are there. So how will I utilize my credit? So they said, gave some exceptions saying that, okay, you are a genuine taxpayer, so I will allow you. Now, how do you prove you're a genuine taxpayer? If you are a person mentioned have paid more than 1 lakh rupees of income tax. So if you're paying more than 1 lakh rupees of income tax, then you're a genuine taxpayer, then utilize full credit. I will not give any restriction. Who should pay more than 1 lakh? If you're a proprietor, you should have paid more than 1 lakh income tax. If you're a company, then your director or managing director, if you're HF, your Kalta should have paid. If your partner, any of your partners or whole-time directors, any of these people who have paid more than 1 lakh rupees, then ये restriction आपको नहीं लगेगा. Which means आप tax ही government को 1 लाख pay कर रहे हो, मतलब government has some confidence on you. Okay? और so further exceptions देते हैं. If your registered person under concern has received a refund, आपको refund मिला है. Why will you get refund? You have made a export, you have made a supply to SEZ, and we have checked your records and you've got a refund of more than 1 lakh rupees. then also you will get the credit. Then also आपको ये rule नहीं लगेगा. Then, if the registered person has discharged his liability towards outward tax by electronic cash ledger for an amount of 1% in the said month in the current financial, अगर आपने इस कभी भी पिछले इस साल में कभी भी आपने 1 month पे किया 1% पे किया, then also we'll leave you. Then if the registered person is any of the following government department को आप touch नहीं कर सकते, that is also an exception, or the commissioner and an officer authorized by him in this behalf may remove the said restriction after verification. So ये restriction रहेगा, but अगर commissioner बोलता है check किया आपका records, then he can remove this restriction. So that is 86B in simple terms. How the department trust linking with IT Act? They do trust because a lot of information exchange happens between the IT department and the GST department. So if you prove with your records that you have paid more than 1 lakh of income tax, then this restriction will not apply to you. 100% यूटिलाइज कर सकते हैं, नहीं कर सकते, सिर्फ 99% यूटिलाइज कर सकते हैं, लेकिन एक्सेप्शंस हो गया, देन 100% यूटिलाइज कर सकते हैं. If we have ITC, then why we can't utilize? Because what happens is a lot of ITCs having people are having because of this fake invoices, and they're utilizing the credit but not paying to the government. So the government wants to know whether you are genuine or no. That is the reason this restriction is applied. What is the role of GST in Karta? Karta, if there's a HUF, HUF is run by whom? By the Karta, right? So Karta's income tax should have been paid more than 1 lakh rupees, then this restriction will not apply. Correct. 100% of ITC can be utilized if income tax paid is 1 lakh rupees or more. Correct, Navneet. Okay. Now we have understood the concept of ITC completely. Now I have few questions. Now you tell me if you are good to answer these questions, and then we will take some MCQs also. So first question is, ABC purchased 10 computers for his office for 5,90,000 rupees on 8th August 2018. Out of 10 computers, 2 may have been not been put to use and kept for a new branch which is going to be opened in the next 6 months. Now, whether ABC is eligible to take ITC of 90,000 rupees on the full 10 computers. Navneet, your question is, if electronics trading karta and electronic credit ledger has 80,000, if the same person is registering a new GST in the same state for medical, can he transfer ITC? Yes. The provision allows you, even if it is in different business, but you have taken a new registration, you can transfer the credit. Yes. Correct. So he is eligible to take the credit, but few people may have a question under under income tax. Depreciation can be claimed only when you put to use, but there is no such condition of put to use under GST. In GST, 2 computers which have been put to use in the business, but they are not put to use, but they are intended to be used. So since they are intended to be used, you can claim credit. So under GST, credit can be claimed when you use it or intend to use it. Both the cases, credit will be available. Next question. Manish is a chartered accountant whose turnover exceeds 20 lakhs on 10th August and he became liable to get registration under GST. He applies for registration on 25th August and gets registration certificate on 28th August. Now he purchases one laptop of 47,200 on 16th August. Whether he is eligible to claim the credit on this. Yes. Okay. Yes. ITC is not claimable in service. Oh, where is that restriction in the ITC chapter? Right. The question here is, did he apply for registration within 30 days? If he's applied, then he will get it. He gets REG on, that is the registration certificate on 28th August, but effective date of registration is 10th of August, and he shall be deemed to be registered person from the 10th of August. Hence, inward supply on 16th August since he applied on time. And even though he did not have registration as on that day, but he is eligible to claim the credit. So he can claim the credit in this case. Not date of grant of registration, effective date of registration. In the registration certificate, you'll have grant of registration and effective date. So if the effective date is 10th August, since he's applied on time, he can claim the credit of that. It is capital goods. Uh, so this is not a case of registration issue. He will still get the credit because he has taken the asset after the effective date of registration. And here it is mentioned that he gets registration certificate on 28th August with the date of 16th August, so he can claim it. Composition scheme to normal scheme. On services, you will not get it, but this is not that case. This is a case of goods. So this is ITC on capital goods.
So I think, sir, have you completed with the topic?
Yes, madam, I'm completed.
Okay. A very good evening to all the students. I am CA Shefali Jain, and I am a faculty for indirect tax laws at Board of Studies. Good evening, Shamli. Good evening. So with this, we have completed all the substantive provisions of GST. Thank you, Shamli. Good evening, Tanu. Good evening, Golti. Navneet, good evening. Then Geeta. Then Jaya. Aditya. Good evening to all of you. So just want to get a quick feedback from all of you. How are you finding the classes? How are your studies going on? And what else support you want from Board of Studies? Good evening, Khushbu. Good evening, Ashlesha. Good evening, Adil. So I hope your classes are going with full rigor. And today, Sir has completed the chapter of input tax credit, one of the most important and deemed to be very complex topic, but taught in a very easy and students friendly manner. So I hope now all of you find it easy and you are not finding any difficulty in this chapter. Good evening, Rohan. Yes, Tanu. So class is going good. Good, Tanu. That's what I want to hear from all of you, that you are finding the classes great and you are coping up with the classes as well as the studies. Kuldeep, study material for September 2026 will be same as which is there for the May 26 study material, that is July 2025 edition of the study material. So July 2025 edition of the study material is already available on CDS portal and you can buy it or purchase it from there. So I suggest you that you can buy that study material that is applicable for September also. Only thing is that the Finance Act 2025 amendments, which were not applicable when study material was released, now they have become effective. So you have to read the amendments which are given at the end of each chapter. You have to read the chapter along with those amendments. For example, in case of time of supply chapter, now voucher provisions will not be applicable because they have been removed by Finance Act 2025. Ashlesha has found the concepts very, they have been taught very nicely and you have understood the concepts. Good, Ashlesha. Okay, Kuldeep, you got that point. Any feedback or any of you want to share? Good evening, Natasha. So, with this, the substantive provisions of GST, as I had highlighted in the first class of this particular batch, that the substantive provisions, they almost have a weightage of at least 50% and almost to 80%. So you can understand that how important the substantive provisions or core provisions of GST are. Until ITC, all the provisions, they are core provisions of GST. So Vedant is asking, ma'am, will there be any revisionary classes including problem solving after chapter ends? Vedant, that's what I was actually, that's why I have today joined this class, to know that, because till ITC you have covered everything. Sir is covering the questions also. As you can see, questions have been covered at the end of the class also. And during the session also, simultaneously, he keeps asking you questions, giving you some practical problems also. Now, after we have completed all the concepts till ITC, now all of you are in a position to answer the or solve the problems relating to computation of GST. Good, Dia, you are finding the lectures good. And in fact, all of you can fill the feedback form also for every class so that we can understand that, yes, these are the, positive features, or these are the attractive features of the class which you want to be continued, and this is how you want the classes to be conducted. So please share your feedback for the class. Kuldeep is saying classes are well organized and self-explanatory. Thank you, Kuldeep. We all want these classes to be self-explanatory, and that is the purpose, so that you go through these classes and after that you self-study the topic. That makes you the topic amply clear. So that means sir is taking the classes in the most easy and lucid manner. He's explaining the topics in the easy manner. Okay, my video is not visible. Just a minute. Video is visible, na? Okay. Ashlesha, could be possible that some issue is there. It's not visible.
No, ma'am.
Okay. I think I have. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Visible.
Thank you for confirming. Okay. Yes. Okay. Shamli, it's visible. Thank you for confirming. So what I was planning is that next few lectures I have kept for myself. And what I was thinking earlier was, what was planned was that I will take time of supply and value chapter, questions relating to them, and explain those concepts in a more detailed manner we can discuss. But one suggestion is, or one way is that because you have completed till ITC, now computation of GST liability, that will be most important, and that is the first compulsory question of the intermediate paper. So that is very important to understand, and that makes you revise all the concepts also. So what I am planning is that in next class I will be taking the computation of GST questions, so that you can revise. It will make you revise all the concepts also, and that first compulsory question will get prepared. So computation of GST liability, as well as it will include some part of the computation of value. And if time permits, we'll revise. We'll not do it completely, but we'll try to revise some of the time of supply provisions also. But after we are done with the computation of GST liability, as well as computational problems on value of supply, because just covering the concepts will not serve the purpose. I want you to be thorough with the type of questions which are asked in the examination. And in fact, today you have done, I think, quite a lot many practical questions or computational, not computational, but practical problems, the application of the concepts which you have done, that you have effectively done today. Linga Raju is saying, GST classes are done so effectively that I learned very well, ma'am. So nice of you, Lingaraju, that you are appreciating this point. And we want you to score good in GST and keep sharing your feedback also, so that this gets registered that yes, this is how you want the classes. Maybe this feedback gets floated for other classes also. ITC quiz, Anil is asking. Anil, I had planned today ITC quiz earlier, but I would be taking it in the next class. So to next class, we'll start with a small quiz, maybe half an hour or 35 minutes. We'll take the quiz, which will revise the concepts of only ITC, and then we'll start with the computation of GST problems. So come prepared, all of you. Please be prepared with the concepts. Just have a quick revision of the concepts, more importantly of ITC, but then you should also know exemptions, place of supply, all these provisions, because they have their application in the computation of GST liability question. It is an integrated question which requires the application of all the provisions of GST which you have learned till now. One or the other provision will get applied, and you have to be thorough with all the provisions. Time of supply provisions will also get applied there. But yes, in case you need revision for some of the topics, then we'll try to do that. Okay. Okay. So Shamli, you think that this way it will be helpful if we do it this way? And yes, in next all chapters till ITC. Yes, all the chapters till ITC, you have to give a quick revision to them, because they will be applied in GST, computation of GST liability. Okay, Aditya is asking, what should I do if I want to be a master in GST? So for that, I would first of all say you keep attending the LBC classes for GST. And as in the initial first few lectures, I had always stressed upon that whenever a class is conducted, you have to revise that concept just immediately after the class, as early as possible. Don't procrastinate your studies. Don't feel that I will do it tomorrow, day after tomorrow, or some other day. If you revise it that very day and try to find out the areas which you feel that you have to focus more, you have to once again go through, you have to see the class again for those topics. That makes you a master in those topics. And for practice of the questions, test your knowledge questions are there. Then we'll be having revisionary classes also for the particular attempt. Plus, we will be having the like now we will be, I hope voice is audible to all of you. There is no so and just now this I told you that in for GST computation we'll be having some few classes for practicing GST computation. So that will help you in practicing the questions also. Now, once you have completed the entire syllabus, then you should go for practicing the revision test paper questions and appear for mock test papers under exam-like conditions. These mock test papers will boost your confidence that yes, you are fully prepared for the examination. And last but not the least is the case scenario booklet. Case scenario booklet has an integration of all the provisions in one case study, and that will enable to apply those concepts in an integrated manner. But they will help you in clarifying or clearing your conceptual that will give you a conceptual clarity, I would say. Once notes read, I found it is very I think easy. You want to say study material and understand it, yes. So if you are reading the notes, if you are going through this one after doing the class, if you go through the study material also, you will find it very easy. And study material has been formulated or developed very particularly and meticulously in such a manner that it helps you in doing the self-study. So these classes are for your support, but a material which is developed for self-study, if you are doing it after doing the classes, so you can understand that becomes even easier. And the MCQ quizzes, it has crossword puzzles, that is for the creating interest in the material, as well as to break the monotony when you are doing the study material. But try to do it with the class itself so that you are thorough with the topic. Thank you, Kuldeep. You are finding this effort of LVC of the BOS to be a wonderful effort. Next, income tax. Okay, Dia is asking, ma'am, new income tax effect direct tax for September 26 exam or May 26 you want to ask. For this, Dia, you have to refer to some announcement, I suppose, that there must have been some announcement which has been hosted for May 2026 examination, that whether the new income tax will be applicable or not. As far as I know, that I think some announcement must have been web hosted for this particular purpose. Please refer the same. Otherwise, what you can do is, if you do not find that announcement, please put a message in the WhatsApp group. All of you are a member of the WhatsApp group, intermediate WhatsApp group. You put that message there, you will get an answer, or you can write a mail at dt-enter, direct tax-enter. So it's dt, D for direct, T for tax, dash enter at ICAI.in. You can write that income tax applicability query at direct tax department, because we have separate direct tax and indirect tax department at Board of Studies. So for this, you can write to them. They will be able to answer you. You will get a very specific answer from them. Okay, so Vedant is saying computational question is very important. Yes. So the way it is asked in exams, similar type of questions we'll be practicing. Yes, from beginning. So Vedant is saying from beginning till ITC, we want a revision 3. That will be conducted after the all the classes are completed, and that will be some way near to exam, but that the competent authorities will decide that whether it will be conducted. But whatever, if you are doing your revision simultaneously and you are practicing the questions, because these computation of GST questions, once we practice, till now, whatever topics you have done, they will be revised and you'll get how questions are asked in the examination. You'll get a complete idea. Okay, Diya. So now, Lingaraju is saying, we want all the materials of sir that have been taught in the class. Kindly share. Yes. So we'll ask Deepak sir to share all the material which he has done. I think few of the notes have already been uploaded, I suppose. You can let me know in the chat box if they are not yet uploaded. Otherwise, we'll ensure that all the material which he has taught in the class is uploaded on the BOS Knowledge portal. Don't worry, we'll ensure that. Tanu is saying, after ITC chapter, quite please take all the chapters. Also, we will complete till now. Okay, Tanu, what exactly you want to convey? Please reword your message so that I can understand. You want me to take the, you want me to tell that, you want to tell me that you want the computational problems or the practical problems for all the classes. Is it so, or you want to convey some other message? Revision class of GST, revision class of GST, revision class of GST. Aditya, actually, this is the first time classes are being conducted for May 26. So there is no revision class as of now. For January 26 or maybe for September 25, already revisionary classes have been conducted. So before every exam, generally revision classes are conducted. Now, next revisionary classes will be for January 26. For GST illustration, you need to see the study material. You will find all the illustrations in the study material. Anil is saying completing ICAI material along with RTP, MTP is enough. Yes, that is enough along with the case scenario booklet, Anil. Shamli, eagerly waiting. Okay, good. Thank you, Shamli. You are waiting for next class. At least you want to attend the class. That is, I'm happy to see that. Could you please WhatsApp link if this IT team can send the WhatsApp link in the chat box. Natasha will be sharing the WhatsApp link soon. All of you, please be a part of the WhatsApp group, because this way you will be updated. You will stay updated with all the notifications, all the announcements, and any change in the schedule. Sometimes some last minute change has to be made in some class. So you will stay updated and you stay connected with the BOS through these classes and WhatsApp groups. So please always be a part of the WhatsApp group. Thank you, Lingraju. Okay, exemption from GST notes are not yet uploaded, Vedant. Definitely they will be uploaded. We'll ensure that all the notes which are pending for last classes, they will be uploaded. Computational problem for that class for exemption. Okay, don't worry. Now, when I will be covering the GST computation, one way exemption points will be covered, but I will try to incorporate 1 or 2 questions for every topic. For exemptions also, 1 or 2 questions for place of supply also. So that way it will be revised. But first of all, I will take computation of GST. Main focus will be on computation. because once you do the computation of GST problems, your all other questions are automatically revised. You will see it in that class, and I am there with you. In case you want anything else, you feel, no, I want this type of questions also, you can let me know. They will be practiced. Don't worry at all. That will be done. May 26 student can attend revisionary class of January 26. You can do. There is no bar on that, Kuldeep. But actually, applicability is different. So, because Finance Act amendments will not be discussed, Finance Act 25 is not applicable for January 26. So that way, it can be a bit different. So that care you have to take. Case scenario booklet is available, Ashlesha, on the BOS Knowledge Portal. When you go to BOS Knowledge Portal, you will find that a specific tab is there, case scenarios. There you have to go in enter and Paper-3B. There you will find the case scenario booklet. But we generally suggest the students to go through case scenario booklet once they complete the entire syllabus, because otherwise there is an integration of all the provisions. So in case, yes, after ITC, you go through these computation of GST problems. After doing them, you can go through most of the scenarios, but few scenarios have the procedural provisions also. So then you might feel that I am not able to attend that, and this might lower your confidence also. That's why we generally suggest you to attempt it after completing the entire syllabus. Lakshmi Priya is asking, will the questions based on new GST amendments for May 26 exam? New GST amendments, Lakshmi Priya, when you are saying you want to say the Finance Act 25, or you want to say the amendments which have just taken place, GST 2.0 version, 2.0 version, because that is also till 31st October. So just let me tell you, all of you, that for May 26, the amendments which are applicable for the exams are the amendments made by Finance Act 25, as well as notifications and circulars issued till 31st October 2025. Since study material was released in the month of July, so we had covered the amendments till 30th April 2025, and Finance Act was not applicable till that date when study material was released. So on that date, we have given the Finance Act amendments at the end of each chapter. But now you have to study that along with the study material, and you have to read that along with study material, as well as you have to, for just a minute, students, give me just 1 minute. Yes. So for May 2026 examination, the study material will remain same. We'll be giving you statutory update covering all the amendments which have taken place from 1st May till 31st October. So that also you have to take care of. We'll be having statutory update classes also after the end of these classes, where all the amendments which have taken place during this period, they will be properly covered and nothing will be left out. So don't worry, May 26 preparation will be complete. New study material is based, I told you that on what position new study material is based on. Okay. Jaya is saying, yes. So Jaya, I got your point that you all are worried about the latest amendments which have taken place in last month, but they will be duly covered in the statutory update. Don't worry. Okay. Any of you have any more doubts? Muzahid. Muzahid is saying my January 26 exam की class attempt करूं. Okay, you want to attempt the revisionary classes for January 26 Muzahid, is it so? उसमें कोई इशू नहीं है मुजाहिद, अगर आप जनवरी 26 की रिविजनरी क्लासेस करना चाहते हो, बस आपको थोड़ा सा अमेंडमेंट्स का ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा. मैं आपको बता देती हूँ, जनवरी 26 में Finance number 2 Act 2024 will be applicable, plus notifications and circulars issued till 30th June 2025 are applicable. तो ये पोजीशन एप्लीकेबल, दिस इज द एप्लीकेबिलिटी ऑफ जनवरी 26. आपका May 26 एग्जाम है, बट आप फिर भी कर सकते हो, क्योंकि उसमें आपको थोड़े क्वेश्चंस की प्रैक्टिस भी होगी. मेन फोकस रिविजनरी क्लासेस में क्वेश्चंस पे रहता है. तो आई ऑलवेज सजेस्ट यू कि यू कैन अटेंड दोज क्लासेस. थोड़ा सा अमेंडमेंट्स का यू हैव टू टेक केयर ऑफ, otherwise that those classes will also be helpful for you. You can attend them. WhatsApp link, I think it has not yet been shared in the chat box, but it will be shared. Just a minute. Please, Manish, please share. So our IT person is just sharing the WhatsApp group link. Please, all of you join through this WhatsApp link, the WhatsApp group. New study material is same as the which page amendment, Jaya, you are referring? Because new study material has all the amendments which have taken place during the relevant period, which is covered. Now, whatever amendments have taken place after 30th April, they have not been covered because study material covers the amendments till 30th April only. So those amendments are not covered. For that, you need to refer to the statutory update. Okay, Muzahid. So now you have got the WhatsApp link also. Tech support Manish has shared the WhatsApp link. All of you please join it. And in the next class, we'll be having the concept of, not concept exactly, questions based on computation of GST. So I hope all of you will be attending that class and next few classes, and will thank you, Natasha. So this way your concepts will be revised. में जनवरी 26 की प्रॉपर रिवीजन ना हुआ हो तो मे अटेम्प्ट देना का कोई इश्यू होगा? मुजाहिद, आपका डाउट मुझे एकदम समझ नहीं आया है, थोड़ा सा आप इसको रिवर्ट करो एक बार। आप ये कहना चाहते हो कि अगर मैंने जनवरी 26 तक प्रॉपरली पढ़ा नहीं है तो मैं मे अटेम्प्ट दे सकता हूँ या नहीं दे सकता हूँ? प्लीज रिवर्ट योर क्वेरी। एक बार आप दोबारा से अपनी क्वेरी पूछिए, मैं थोड़ा सा अभी कंफ्यूज हूँ, मैं आपको उसी तरह से आंसर करूंगी। अभी जो लेक्चर हो रहे हैं वो खुशबू पूछ रही है कि वो जनवरी 26 के लिए एप्लीकेबल है। देखिए खुशबू, अभी जो लेक्चर्स हो रहे हैं वैसे वो जनवरी 26 में भी आप एप्लीकेबल मान सकते हो, क्योंकि उसका रीजन ये है कि फाइनेंस एक्ट 25 की अमेंडमेंट्स अभी तक एप्लीकेबल नहीं थी, तो वो क्लास में डिस्कस नहीं हो रही थी। लेकिन अब वो फाइनेंस एक्ट की अमेंडमेंट्स एप्लीकेबल हो गई हैं तो वो डिस्कस भी होंगी क्लास में, तो थोड़ा सा वो एक आपको ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा। बट अदरवाइज अभी तक जो लेक्चर्स हैं, क्योंकि वो अमेंडमेंट्स एप्लीकेबल ही नहीं थी, और 30 अप्रैल तक के अमेंडमेंट्स तो एनी हाउ जनवरी के लिए भी एप्लीकेबल है, मई के लिए भी एप्लीकेबल है, तो आपके ऑलमोस्ट वो सेशंस आप जनवरी 26 के लिए भी रेफर कर सकते हो। बस थोड़ा सा आप लोग जब भी जनवरी 26 के लिए रेफर करेंगे तो आपको अमेंडमेंट्स का ध्यान रखना है। सेम वे अगर मई 26 वाले बच्चे जनवरी 26 के रिविजनरी क्लासेस देख रहे हैं, देन दे हैव टू बी cautious about the amendments which have been left out in January 26. And most importantly, we'll be having the statutory update class at the end of these classes, so that all the notifications and circulars which have been issued during 1st May 2025 to 31st October 2025 are duly covered, and you all are aware of that. Okay. So with this, I think we can wind up this session. No more queries are there. Revisionary classes, January 26 ki, that schedule will be, once it is hosted, then you'll get to know when they are starting. You just have to wait for a few days or week, then you'll get to know that when they will be starting. But January 26 ki amendment revisionary classes ki, there will be proper announcement. And once again, I request all of you to please share your feedback for the class. Okay, Ashlesha, thank you so much. Any other queries or any other doubts which you have, you can keep asking those doubts. In the next session also, you can ask me. New study material, Jaya is saying, no, Jaya, new study material, that means you want to say about January 25 edition, July 25 edition of the study material. Whatever amendments are there, they have been carried out in that study material. Not yet Am I now audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think one or two queries I had not answered, and since I had logged out, so I'm not able to see those queries now. If any of you want to repost your query, you can please repost them, or otherwise we can wind up the session and we'll take the queries in the next session. So I think we can take the queries in the next session now. All of you, please revise whatever concepts you have done till now, and in next session, please come prepared. Thank you, Kuldeep. Please come prepared with all the topics which you have done till now, and with your doubts also, if you have in any of the topics. We'll try to revise the concepts in that through the computation of GST problems. So main focus will be problems. Okay. Good night, students. हाँ वाइंड अप कर दीजिए. Okay.